Alright, so what's left to do for this guy? Well, we still have a few meshes that we have not taken care of when it comes to the formations. The body is done. We're done with the body, that's all. You can go crazy yourself and add as many more extra rigged joints to control other things. Like for example, you could try to control with those joints some part of the these muscles over here. You could add morphs to the thighs, all that we've mentioned. Also, the rear of the character sometimes works very well with some morphs based on the rotations from the thigh. And it's endless. You can apply everything you've seen so far to any part of the character. But in the spirit of this being a course, we have to finish it at some point. So let's just keep moving and see what's left. So we've taken care of the body, we've taken care of the eyes. The eyes also move. But we have a few other things that we haven't taken care of. There's a mouth interior group here. So if we check that out, you'll notice that we have here, let's look from the inside actually. We have some teeth and gums and a piece of a tongue. So we have the lower teeth right there, a tongue, and upper teeth. So let's get those rigged. And for this character, that's actually going to be very simple because this is more of, I wouldn't say a realistic character, but yeah, he's kind of something like that. So the teeth don't need to be deformed. So I'm just going to drive them directly using weight containers. And I'm going to use the head and the jaw joints to do that. And for the tongue, I am going to create a little rig that will allow the animator to just animate the tongue using a very simple FK based rig. So let's do that very quickly. We're going to need to display our, let's hide the arms. We need the head, the neck and head rig. There it is. So all we need to do, let's go back here. Let's go to where are, we can probably do it in the spine or in advanced deformations. Honestly, it doesn't matter much. Let's just do it here. Let's bring in our upper teeth and let's bring in our lower teeth and this joint. We don't need those. And this joint. I'm actually hiding them. Never delete them. Be careful with that. And again, we're going to use weight containers. So let's create a couple of them. Yeah, weight container. And let's duplicate that. So let's call this one weight container center upper teeth. And this guy is going to be weight container center lower teeth. Okay, let's bring those in. And now all they need is general influence. So let's first plug the correct geometry. This is the lower teeth. Yeah, that's fine. And this is the upper teeth. So perfect. And now we need to drive these guys with something. So let's create our general influences. Let's call this one general influence center upper teeth. And we're going to create another one for this guy. General influence center lower teeth. Of course I could have just gone and directly parent them to the joints. Well, not parent them, but dynamically parent them. But I tend to prefer to have the formations taking care of these issues than just straight up parenting. So, and all we need to do is plug our effectors and let's see if things are working. Well, they are not. And that's because I haven't added any points to my weight containers at this point. So let's do that. Ah, these oversights. So let's select the first. This is the lower teeth. We're going to select the mesh. Let's go into the formers tab. Going to go into vertex mode, component mode, select all the vertices. There they are. And say add points. Perfect. Okay. And now let's do the same for the upper teeth container and the upper teeth mesh. Let's go into vertex component mode, select all the vertices and add points. And now we should be done. Well, not yet. Let's see what's going on with these guys. So we have the jaw joint, which is right there. Oh, okay. Let's change this to, oh, entire mesh should be a, let's unplug and plug everything back in setup mode, because sometimes that causes lots of issues when you are not in setup mode. Let's see if that did it. There you go. That worked. So we're good. Oh, looks like they are inverted. We're driving the upper teeth. Let's see. Where the upper teeth has been driven with the jaw. Yeah, that's not good. So let's go back to setup mode. Flip this guys over. And disconnect and reconnect. Now it should work. Okay, well, that's fine. The tongue is left behind. Ah, there you go. The inside of our mouth is now working just fine. Okay, so we're good to rig the tongue. Let's do that in a separate video. All right, let's rig this guy's tongue. And this one will require a little bit more work, but it's nothing complex. It's just simple stuff. Let's go back to here. We're gonna hide the teeth, and we're gonna hide the eyes and the body mesh. I just want to work with this guy. So let's take a look at it for a second. And I might need 1, 2, 3, 4 joints on it to get it properly skinned and to give the animator more options into around how to animate it. So let's go to the right view, left. I prefer to work on the left. And we're gonna create a little joint chain. So let's start here, and then there, and there, then there, and then there. Okay, that's it. There's our little joint chain for the tongue. So we need to fix the names. I'll do that separately in a second to reflect that it's the tongue. Actually, I'll just go ahead and do it right now, because otherwise I don't want to have other dependencies creep up later that have to be renamed. Oh, I said tongue. Okay, and let's actually just copy that. Paste. We're gonna paste the rest. 0, 4 and 0, 5. Perfect. Okay. So now what we need to do is create some controls for the animator to be able to move the tongue around. And I'm just going to duplicate the entire joint chain. There they are. And I'm going to take these guys and we're going to change their display properties and going to make controls out of them. So I want these guys to be planes. And let's make them smaller because they're super huge right now. There you go. And actually, yeah, they're okay. Let's change their X size. Because we want to make these guys easy to select. Something like that. I'm just gonna make them progressively smaller. There you go. Now let's select them again. Let's get rid of the link property and let's give them a nice FK-ish color, which in our case has been this blue. All right, so now we have our controls, and now we have 2 0 older channels, and that's done. And we're good to go. We're going to parent constraint the joints over to these guys. Before I do so, I'm going to move everything to their appropriate parts in the hierarchy. So let's rename these guys to, well, joint is fine. These guys do need to be renamed. These guys are going to be controls. Oops, little finger typo there. Okay, so where are we going to place these guys? Well, this guy needs to be definitely a child of the jaw, because when the jaw opens, I want to see the tongue go down with it. I don't want to see the tongue just staying there floating in space. So he's going to do that. Well, we're going to also, of course, constrain this control over to the jaw control later. But for now, let's take this guy and this guy, and we're going to say compensation, parent in place, and let's see where he went. Here it is. So we have the head, and then the jaw, and the jaw has the jaw end, and then the tongue. Perfect. So in theory, rotating this guy should get me, there they go. That's not going to work once they get constrained, of course, but for now I just want them to be in the right place. So now what we can do is we can bind the tongue to our little joint chain. Just select the root. Let's go into setup mode, and let's go into the formers and hit bind. You're not going to be able to do a heat bind on this one because there's a big hole on it. So we're just going to keep the smooth distance bind, and let's leave the rest of the options as they are. We could change the fall off. So let's see what happens if we set the fall off to high, because it's a really small object. Nope. Let's try that again with the fall off set to low. In this case, we should, yeah, that's much better. High made the fall off too large. I didn't know exactly if it was gonna actually mean that the fall off ratio was high, but it was actually the fall off distance. Anyway, here you have it. This joint is affecting these vertices. this joint's affecting these vertices, this joint's affecting these vertices, and this joint's affecting these vertices. And we can work on fine-tuning the deformations in a second. Now all we need to do is dynamic constraint these guys to the controls, but let's put the controls where they belong, which is as children of the jaw control. So again, we're going to parent in place. Let's see where that went. So there's the jaw control and then all the tongue controls. So again, when I rotate this, my controls are coming with it, which is great. All right, now all we need to do is dynamically parent the joints over to their corresponding control. Compensation is on. Add parent. Now this guy. Add parent. Now this guy. Add parent. This guy. Add parent. And actually we don't need the last control right there, so we can just get rid of it. And we're done. So now you can take these guys, rotate them around, and it works. Now all we need to do is, of course, adjust the weights on everything. So let's move on to that. Let's go and find our weight maps for this mesh. So let's select the first one. Let's go into our weighting tab, go into vertex component mode and select these vertices and adjust their weights to 100%. And then we're going to take these vertices and adjust their weights to 50%, like so. And then take the rest of the tongue and adjust it down to 0. So that's cool. Let's go to the next weight map, tongue 0, 2. So that weight map, we don't select these guys. We select only those, and we select these guys behind here, adjust to 0, and then we take, let's see, these guys need to be at 100, and this row and this one need to be at around 50%. Everything is going to get normalized anyway, so I just need to get in the ballpark. Let's get to the next weight map, which is this one right here. So we're going to select all these guys and these guys right here, move those down to 0. And now we are going to take these 100% and take these and these up to 50. There you go. And the last weight map, we'll use these guys at a 50%, the rest of the mesh at 0, and everything in here at 100%. We're done. Let's try that again. Yeah, that's kind of okay. It looks kind of weird here how it extends. So one thing you can do is go through each weight map and just smooth it out. And that should take care of giving you smoother deformations. In this case, I think it was too much, so I'm gonna find a different way of smoothing it out. But I don't need to keep you around here for this. You already know how to do all the weighting work. So I'm just gonna do my own, and I'm gonna come back to show you the finished result. Alright, I'm done. It's looking a lot better, as you can see. That's quite nice. You can also move them if you want to stretch out your tongue. All I did was for each weight map, I extended the range by one edge loop right here and another one right here, and just added a little 20% to each, and that's all I did. So let's check out that everything is back to correct values. Everything's okay. This guy needs to be zeroed. And yeah, looks like we're done with the interior of the mouth of the character. Let's unhide our lower teeth, upper teeth, and the bind mesh. There it is. And now the character has a tongue that can talk. Perfect. We're done. We're done with the body of the character. So let's move on to the rest of it. Okay, so let's now move on to the rest of the meshes in this file for this character. And most of them are props. We have his shield right here. And we have this gear folder that we have right there. And we have to get those done too. So let's start obviously with the shield, which is going to be super easy and fast to rig. It's going to be just driven by a weight container again. So we are going to need a couple of locators. We're going to need one to be the control, which is going to be this one. Control center shield. And we're going to make him into a circle. Like so. A little bit smaller maybe. There you go. That's going to be our shield control. And we're going to create a second locator. And this is going to be the deformer for the shield. So let's go into schematic view and create another workspace. And we're going to call this one Ace Props. Okay, let's jump right in. So let's bring in our deformer shield and our shield mesh. And we're going to create a new weight container. And we're going to call this one, it doesn't need to be here. I don't know why it got created in there, but let's bring it down here. Weight container, shield. There we go. Okay, let's bring that in. Let's connect geometry to this guy and add a general influence to it. Rename it shield, and let's go into setup mode, plug this in, get out, and now select our mesh, go again into vertex component mode, select all of the vertices, make sure our weight container is selected, and add those points. And we're done. So if we take our deformer now, we should be able to move the shield around, which is not. Let's try to do the connection again. Now it works. I had to refresh it after adding the points. So there you go. That's done. Now all we need to do is to dynamically parent that locator onto our control. And let's give the control a nice color. And there you go. the shield is rigged. So now you have a control to have the character carry its shield. You can animate it, he can throw it, whatever you need. Let's do a little bit of house cleaning over here. We're starting to lose control. So these weight containers need to go in the weight containers group locator along with all the rest. Looks like I forgot to one character on their names. I know I'm way too picky about this, but believe me, you will thank me one day when you have to work with a file of a character where the rig starts to become thousands of objects. And what about the controls in the deformer? Well, let's move these guys. The deformer, let's see. So we have ace geometry, deform skeleton. We're gonna create a couple more extra group locators. So let's create one that we're going to call prop deformers, and let's create another one called prop controls. Okay, so let's move the control to the prop controls folder, and let's move this guy to the prop deformers folder. And that should do it. Let's just make sure everything is zeroed. Perfect. Okay, we're done with this guy's shield. We can move on to the rest of the equipment he's carrying.